This roofing company was on the brink of collapse. Every single month getting worse and worse and worse. No leads, sales reps leaving, their crews leaving to find work elsewhere. Now I wanted to see if I can come in, implement a couple of strategies, and see if I can return this company to its former glory. Now, this is pretty risky. I might just end up losing all of my money, but I wanted to put my skills to the test. I wanted to see if I can either shortcut their success or end up being a fallen soldier that goes down with them. Now, if you haven't seen any of our videos before, my name's Nick. I founded a company called NCT Media. We help roofing and solar companies scale their businesses with paid ads. Now, let's dive in and take a look, see what we're working with. So this is a roofing company based out of Florida. So they are covering the entire state. So Panhandle, Central Florida, South Florida, everywhere. So large market size. So in 2023, you can see they were doing around $400,000 a month. So that's kind of like where they were peaking at, and they were hovering around there for quite a bit. And now in 2025, as you can see, they dipped quite a bit. So now they're down to 90 to 110K per month. They've been kind of hovering around there the last handful of months. So let's take a look at what the team looks like. So in 2023, when they were peaking at around $400,000 a month, they had 6 closers on their team. They lost 3 of them, so they lost half of their team that is able to run appointments in 2025. And I kind of have an idea of why that was when we take a look at their acquisition sources. So they're using Angie leads, or they were using Angie leads quite a bit, not a whole lot anymore. They were relying a lot on referrals or word of mouth, and they're also knocking around the installs that they were doing. So they would do an install, they get a job, and then they kind of knock around that neighborhood. So the reason why I think their revenue dipped like quite a bit is they never really had a consistent source of acquisition. So like referrals they're great, right? But it's almost like a supplement. Think of it as a supplement, not like your main source of leads, right? So with the referral, pretty much if you simplify it, you're kind of hoping and praying somebody calls your office line and you pick up the phone and you go from there, right? Door knocking, it could be consistent if you're consistently on the doors, but they were knocking when they got jobs, and it wasn't even one of their main sources. And then Angie leads for them, like it was hit or miss. Lots of months it was kind of like feast or famine, and then over time, like these sources kind of just dried up because there was never an active flow of people coming through their, through the door there, right? So over time, they kind of just dried up, and that's why they're at 90 to 110K. And I believe the reason why a lot of their closers left, they went from 6 to 3 closers, is for that very reason. So their acquisition sources, because they're so inefficient, closers looking for leads elsewhere, right? They're like, why would I be with this company? They're not able to provide. So now like their ability for output in terms of the sales side, it reduced by 50%. So, obviously quite a bit of a problem there. But they were only spending $1,500 per month on ads. Like they were doing some Meta and Google ads. Once again, only spending $1,500 per month. So not even a main source. Their campaigns were sloppy. Like taking a look into them, they had sloppy copy. That didn't mean to rhyme. They had sloppy copy. They had a sloppy setup. Their targeting was off. Creatives were bad. They didn't really have an offer. So they are, their Meta and their Google ads, they were not it. So we'll take a look to see what we can do to solve these problems, and then we'll take a look at the results after that. Now, before we go in what we're gonna do to save this company, we use these exact same strategies for our clients. So there should be a link in the description to book a call with us so we can talk to you about your roofing business, see what we can do to help, and implement these same strategies. Now I'm gonna pass it over to my brother Cole. He's gonna go over everything we implemented.
Now that Nick's giving you the breakdown of the company, I'm gonna go over some of the implementations that we made to fix their issues. So, first thing that we did is we needed to fix their high lead costs and scale their ads up, right? Because they needed a consistent lead flow and a consistent appointment flow, which they did not have because they were doing door knocking when they got jobs, relying on referrals and storms, which is very, very unpredictable. So the best system that we implemented were ads, and they had some cash to do so. So we decided to scale up the ads and fix their high lead costs, right? So first issue with their ads that I noticed was they weren't really running like an offer of any sort, right? So what we did is we implemented this $5,997 offer. It's a starting at price, so it's not like we're telling them, yo, like you're gonna get a roof for $5,997. It's you're starting, new roof starting at $5,997, right? And basically what this does is it tells the lead that they're gonna get a good offer, right? Because that's a pretty low price. Most roofs don't go for that. But we make sure to set that expectation within our copy and our forms and on our calls with the lead before we actually book the appointment. But it's a really good and a really aggressive offer. And what we want to start off doing is kind of opening the floodgates, right? Instead of having we already have high lead costs, so we don't have any room to have high friction right now, right? We need to get more leads, get more lead flow, and then we can adjust the friction from there depending on the intent and the overall lead quality, right? So we implemented this $5,997 offer, also with other angles as well. So you see here we have a video creative And basically what this creative says is like, my mom's roof was leaking and this program helped her get a new roof, right? And then it goes over like the benefits and all that stuff and like good costs, things like that, right? It's a good little like kind of TikTok-y format video, which we found works better than anything, to be honest, better than this picture creative right here. This video creative actually crushes, right? It's an AI voice too. It's just a bunch of videos of like roofers installing roofs or whatever it may be, and just like an AI voiceover, and it absolutely kills. So we launched a couple angles, a couple different video angles like this, a couple different picture angles like the one that we're seeing here, and that fixed it a lot because we're attacking from different angles, increasing budget, right? And we were able to find what works, and then we're scaling into those ads, right? So we already started off. They were spending $1,500 a month on Google and Facebook. We just decided that's like nothing, right? There's probably spending 30, 25 each platform, which is not that much. Most areas, your lead cost might be over $30, so you're not even getting a lead a day off it, right? So it's not enough budget to even see if anything works. It's not enough budget to test. It's not enough budget for anything, right? So we actually increased the budget. We moved it all to Facebook. We moved to about $100 a day to start with, and then we scaled into our winners, and we kind of duplicated the winning ad creatives and scaled into those, right? So that's the very first thing we did. The next thing that we did is we changed their landing page. So basically, when a lead gets an ad, they click on a learn more button or a get offer button or whatever it may be, and it takes them to a page, right? And there's two pages that you could do. You could do a landing page or like a website, which is yours, or you could do a Facebook lead form. And what I saw they were doing is they had a landing page similar to this. It's not exactly like this, but it's very similar to this with a survey. You'll see in the top right here, there's a little survey, right? And it has multiple questions, which is high friction. These landing pages are higher friction than a lead form, right? Which again, like we can't be doing if we have high lead costs. We need to lower that cost before we increase the friction. So we decided to switch over to a lead form because usually in terms of conversion rates, if you're asking under 3 questions, which you should be if you're in roofing, you don't need over 3 questions usually. You should really be asking like, are you a homeowner? Which you don't usually even need to ask, to be honest, because if they're clicking on the ad, they're more than likely a homeowner. So that's the first thing. And the second thing would be like, do you live in X area? Which again, you don't really have to do if your targeting set up properly. So we actually set up a lead form right here. You'll see a lead form. The lead form looks kind of like this, which has higher conversions if you're under 3 questions. We actually had 0 questions on this. The only questions that we had were name, phone, address, postal code, right? Which is just like kind of the opt-in part of the page, not like a questionnaire. So the conversion rate was much higher when they click, right? Because this was really low. We were looking at like around 3% conversion rate on this landing page, which is pretty horrendous, right? And they were just asking a bunch of questions that weren't needed, right? Like things like, what's your preferred like payment of the roof? Do you want to pay with insurance or whatever? It's like most of them don't know, right? Like they haven't even had an appointment. They don't even know, right? And it's just unnecessary friction. You don't need to know that. They would ask other questions like, what type of roof do you have? Which you don't really need to know that unless you only do a few types of roofs. But this company, they didn't, right? They were able to do metal, they were able to do shingles, they were able to do flats, right? So they didn't really need to ask that question also, right? So that was a big implementation that we made. We saw a big increase in our lead costs when we just switched over to a lower friction lead form and kind of opening the floodgates, allowing more people to come through, driving more conversions, allowing learning in the campaign in the ad account. And yeah, we saw a lot more leads at a lot lower cost, right? Which was very, very helpful. And then the next thing that we did is we increased our budget on our correct ads, right? So the thing with Facebook is you're not gonna know which ad on Facebook is driving the most appointments, which ad is driving the most leads. A lot of the times they estimate. They say, oh, this ad, because of XYZ numbers that they get on their Facebook end of things, they might not know where the actual conversions are coming from. It's a guess, right? So what I do is I use platforms like Go High Level or Hyros to get proper attribution reporting, right? So whenever a lead comes in or a booking, it has an ID attached to it or an ad name attached to it, so we know where it's coming from, right? We know which ad's getting our best booking costs, which ad's getting our best lead costs, etc., right? So what we did is we found out which ads are actually getting the right booking costs and the best booking costs, and we scaled into those. So on High Level, I use High Level because It's a bit better if you're using like lead forms. If you're using like, if you're like an e-com store or whatever, then Hyros is better. But with high level, it's really simple. You can set it up to whenever a lead form is submitted, it has a source ID connected to it, an ad source, a campaign source, and an ad set source, right? So it'll tell you where it's coming from, right? And you can have that go to a Google spreadsheet, which is what we do. We have a little attribution sheet where it attributes the conversions to proper ads, and then we could scale into the proper ads that way, because we want to be scaling into what is getting the best booking costs, and more importantly, what is getting the best cost per acquisition, right? So that's a very important step as well, is getting proper attribution reporting and scaling into the proper ads, right? So that's what we did. And then the next problem was increasing speed to lead. This is incredibly important if you actually want to have a good booking cost and you want to have good conversion rates, right? So basically what speed to lead is when a lead comes in, a notification goes out, right? You would set this automation up with something like High Level. You could do it with Zapier as well. High Level is super easy and simple, so I just use High Level. And you can set a notification, right? If it takes you 5, 10, 20, 30 minutes to go to a lead, your conversion rates are going to be absolutely dog shit. Your contact rates are going to be absolutely dog shit. It is absolutely crucial that we have good speed to lead. We need good speed to lead to have good conversion rates. It is absolutely essential. So the way that this team had it set up is they would just have leads come in. They did have the notification system, but they didn't have anybody on their team dedicated to calling these leads instantly, right? So basically, what we did is we set up that team, right? They just kind of had the owner or a closer or whoever call when it got to their Slack channel, right? Which is super inefficient. The closers might be out knocking, they might be out at a job, they might be doing whatever, they might be selling, right? And the owner, he's the owner. He's dealing with the closers, he's dealing with his sales, he's dealing with all of that stuff, right? So you need people dedicated to just booking leads, and that's it, right? So we just set up a really simple 2-person call team, right? And we gave them simple scripts, simple trainings, and it's very, very easy. We like to hire from Mexico because, and we hire for good, fluent English, so they sound American, but it just cuts costs a little bit and it works just as well. You don't really need a really high-skilled position to call leads. You can hire like Americans for this as well, but from what we've seen, it doesn't really make sense. Conversion rates are a little better, but costs are more overall. So it's not really worth it. So we did 2-person team from Mexico, and I put up a little chart here. You'll see that our the under 5 minutes, right? Look at the conversion rate. When you drop to over 5 minutes, it's an 8x decrease in contact rate, right? And if you're not contacting these guys, then you're not gonna convert them, right? So that was one of the biggest things that we did for speed to lead and for our just booking rate overall and getting good booking costs and consistent bookings was setting up that agent team to call these leads quickly, right? Because it's incredibly important. It's the most important thing. If you have that down and you don't have any nurturing systems, no emails going out, no texts going out, nothing. Just straight agents dialing instantly and constantly and following up 4 times a day, double dialing them 4 times a day for 5 to 7 days. If you just have that, your booking rates are gonna be golden, right? But we added some little extra stuff just to juice these leads a tad bit more. So we set up automated nurturing systems using Go High Level and using a platform called SendBlue, which I'll go over what that is. So High Level, it allows us to automate, right? When a Facebook lead comes in, the way we set it up is when a Facebook lead comes in, the agent dials them instantly. If it's a no answer, they move them in their pipeline to no answer, right? And what that does is it triggers an automation to fire out SendBlue messages. And what SendBlue is it's a platform that allows you to send iMessages, right? So it looks a lot more personalized because when people get green texts, right? It could be a Verizon phone, but most people assume when it's coming from a company that it's some sort of automated system. And these leads, they like to feel like they're getting personalization, right? They like to feel like someone's actually trying to talk to them, not some just bot. Nobody wants to talk to a bot. People want to talk to people, right? So we set up SendBlue with their Go High Level account and they integrate, and now we're sending blue text messages. It also allows us to send iMessage videos, iMessage voice messages. We could also send something pretty cool like an invisible link text. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's like a text and then it's like invisible and you have to drag your finger across it to see it. So it does invoke a lot of curiosity when you do that as well. So we did mainly voice messages and we did the invisible links. So the way we had our automation set up is lead doesn't answer, we double text them, say, yo, we just reached out to you. Are you interested in getting a roof quote? Most of the time they'll reply to that and they'll say yes. And then if they don't reply, we send them a voice message. And if they don't reply to that, we send them an invisible link text. And that's pretty much it. We noticed like after those like 3 messages, there's not really too much of a point in reaching out. Like you're just wasting the cost per text. Like you're just spending money for almost no reason. But you can also try with more follow-up messages there. Yeah, so we sent send blue messages. We didn't really do any emails. We actually took the email field off our lead form for better cost because you don't need that either. You want to think about your inbound ad system. You want to try to decrease as much friction as possible, and you only want to have necessary friction, right? Because necessary friction is only friction that's necessary. You need that friction. You need them to have XYZ qualifications in order to work with you as a company, right? But if you don't need their email and you could get it on the phone or you could get the email when you're in the home, then don't ask it on the lead form. If you don't need their credit score, you don't need this or their insurance or that, don't ask it on the lead form, right? So our strategy is we increase friction as we go down the funnel, right? So this is a funnel. Oop. Let me get my pen set up. This is a funnel, right? And we're opening the floodgates here, aggressive offer, right? We got the aggressive offer, which opens up the floodgates, and then we have low friction lead form, and then we have our agents right here at the bottom of the funnel, right? And the friction increases, the agents are qualifying, they're making sure they have proper expectations. We don't want these guys coming in thinking, oh, I'm gonna get a roof for $6,000. We're gonna say, yo, that was a starting at price. It depends on the size of your roof, it depends on the type of your roof. We're gonna come out to your house, we're gonna analyze your roof, we're gonna look at it, look at the damages, look at the size, and then we're gonna get you a quote, right? So that's what we wanna do. The agents are at the bottom, lead form's kind of in the middle because we're asking for their phone, their name, their address, and then the aggressive offers at the very top, right? And we increase the friction as we go on. If the funnel looks like this, it's not gonna work, which is kind of the way they had things set up. They didn't have an aggressive offer, they had a very high friction funnel, and they didn't even have an agent booking team, so yeah. Like that's the way their funnel looked. It looked flipped upside down, which you shouldn't do. It needs to look like this. You need to take them along with you in the funnel. Okay, so those were the main 3 implementations that we made to their marketing and to their overall systems. They did have good sales systems. They had a pretty high close rate. They were looking at closing 50-60% of sits. And so we didn't need to make any tweaks there. We just improved their nurturing, their lead flow, and then their appointments. And we also scaled up that budget to allow them to have more leads because they were very deprived of leads. They did not have a lot of leads. They were just kind of hoping and praying they would get their next job and that their closers would get a job and that their closers would stay with them, right? So we literally just implemented this one ad system that allowed them to scale up and get back to where they were, right? So that's pretty much it with the overall implementations that we made to improve their system and their inbound lead system. So now I'm gonna go over the results of the very first month between their systems and now the first month of our systems. Okay, so if you look here, we have a little sheet set up going over all the KPIs. So they only spent $1,500 on ads, like we said, not a lot. And they had really, really bad systems for ads. They had high lead costs. They didn't have an agent team, so you can see the booking rate was low. So we're looking at $88 per lead and only 4 bookings out of $1,500 spend, which brings us to around a $375 cost per booking from their ads, right? As you can see, their ad systems were very bad. They weren't spending too much, so it wasn't like killing them, but it was very bad. They weren't getting much leads. They weren't getting much bookings. And you can see show rate's pretty good, 50%. Close rate, pretty good, 50%. So good close rate, good show rate, but the booking costs extremely high, which allowed for a $1,500 CPA on their ad systems. They did get 7 jobs from referrals and from door knocking, but that's only $88,000 in revenue, which is not enough revenue and not enough profits to feed their entire team and their entire company, right? So that's their month, $88,000 in revenue, only spent $1,500 on ads, and we're looking at a $1,500 CPA on their ad systems. So they're mainly profiting from their jobs that they closed from referrals and from door knocking, and that doesn't have a CPA attached to it because they're not spending any money on that. That's kind of just their closers knocking, and then referrals is obviously free. Okay, so that's the before. And then the after, once we implemented our simple ad system that I just went over, we're looking at around $3,000 spent, so we doubled the budget, but we had more aggressive offers. We changed their entire funnel, and we're able to bring that lead cost down to $26, and we were also able to book 42 appointments off of $3,000 in spend, which gives us a $71 cost per appointment. That's pretty typical, nothing insane, but nothing, it's pretty good. It's not bad at all. Definitely not $350 per appointment. So we brought that booking cost down a significant bit, and we also allowed for ads to be their mainstream of leads and appointments. So out of the 42 appointments, they got around 66% of them to show because we implemented our nurturing systems with the send blue text messages and things like that. So show rate was improved. The close rate dipped a little bit. I assume that's because of our aggressive offers, but I'm taking a $71 booking cost with more aggressive offers and a slight dip in close rate over $350 booking costs any day of the week. And off that, they got 12 jobs off of the ads, 12 jobs, right? Which is almost double what they were doing before overall as a company, just from ads. And then they got around 6 jobs from referrals and door knockings, and referrals and door knocking, which seems to be around that range, like 5 to 8 a month. And then their CPA from our ads were $250, absolutely phenomenal. Their close rate really helped out with that. Having a good close rate obviously helps. And then first month of running this system, we were able to get their revenue up to almost $200,000 in revenue on the very first month of running these systems. So yeah, significant difference if you see the difference in revenue here and right there. And then obviously the big factor for that was our booking costs and our lead flow. We actually, if you look at how many leads they got before, we're looking at 17 versus 113, right? Very, very big difference in overall lead flow. And I mean, with $200,000 in revenue and a $250 CPA, it looks like the reps are pretty happy and they're getting fed pretty well off of that and looking to scale the budget into further months. That's pretty much it for the results. If you want a similar system implemented for your roofing company, click the link in the description to book a call to talk to us. And that's it for the video. Stay tuned for more videos. We're gonna be dropping some sauce on roofing.